trafficking busted. Colorado police broke apart a human trafficking ring, and the mom of one of the suspects speaks out.
Egyptian eruption. Protesters in Egypt storm a Syrian embassy to show their distaste for the country's regime.
And competing for consumers. The City Creek Mall's opening in Salt Lake is just around the corner, but what will happen to University Mall and other shopping centers in its wake? I'm Angela Montier.
And I'm Anna Hayes. It's Tuesday, January 31st, and in Utah, it's 12 o'clock.
From KBYU and the BYU Department of Communications. This is the award-winning 11 News at noon.
You and your neighbors may be able to openly carry a gun without breaking the law if a bill encouraging gun rights gets passed by the House. The House committee passed Utah Bill HB 49 in order to avoid confusion for law enforcement, but those who oppose it think it will expand a culture of violence. Representative Paul Ray sponsors the bill and says he thinks it will make gun laws more consistent. Representative Mike Morley is stepping down as Utah County legislator. Morley is not seeking re-election after 10 years in the Utah House. He says his time with the legislature was a great learning experience, but his time as a representative has come to an end. He is among half of the 11 legislators who will not be back for re-election.
Police arrested more than a dozen people in Colorado for human trafficking. Now the mother of the alleged ringleader is saying her son is not fully guilty. Reporter Eric Knert talks to the mother to find out why.
It's so hard on the whole family.
The mother of 22-year-old Pat McGowan says he was hoping to clear up his latest drug charge and join the military. He wanted to become someone honorable like his brother, a Brighton police officer. Joyce McGowan says a 70-count grand jury indictment naming McGowan as one of the alleged ringleaders of a statewide minor sex trafficking ring is devastating.
Do you think he would do something like that? No, I really don't. I think if he did, he was led into it. So. He was led into it. He's a follower all the way. He's not an instigator in anything. He never has been.
Attorney General John Suthers says the suspects would find the teens on Backpage.com.
These are people who are very brazen. This is easy money for them.
The other 10 people named in the indictment are patrons or accused of helping the ringleaders by escorting prostitutes to different hotels around Colorado. The indictment says the ring worked in Denver, Lakewood, Boulder, Glenwood Springs, and Grand Junction and involved at least 5 teenage women. Investigators also say last month Pat McGowan sold meth to undercover officers twice, including at a meetup in the parking lot of Casa Bonita in Lakewood.
You think your son is innocent, or do you think he's partially innocent?
I think he's probably partially. I don't think he's fully innocent, but I don't think he's fully guilty either. I think that the whole story needs to come out.
The case will be prosecuted by Senior Assistant Attorney General Janet Drake, a member of the Colorado Human Trafficking Task Force. The last case Drake handled dealt an 8-year prison term for its lead defendant.
After weeks of debates and campaign ads, Florida voters are heading to the polls today. Romney appears to be in the lead, but Gingrich is confident in his ability to win the nomination in the end. Reporter Sandra Endo has the story.
Mitt Romney appears to be on track for his second victory this primary season. A win in Florida, a state with a large, diverse population hit hard by the recession, will strengthen his argument that he can go all the way in November.
I think people realize that if they want to see change in Washington, you can't just elect the same people to take different chairs. You've got to actually have new people come in and take over.
But a second-place finish for Newt Gingrich won't mean he's any closer to throwing in the towel.
I am in this race where Ronald Reagan was in 1976. We are going to go all the way to the convention, and we are going to win in Tampa, and we are going to be the nominee with your help of the Republican Party.
He blames a barrage of attack ads for killing his momentum after his big win in South Carolina.
Frankly, if that stuff was true, I wouldn't vote for myself.
In a state with a still struggling housing market, Romney took every opportunity to remind voters of Gingrich's ties to mortgage giant Freddie Mac.
Here in Florida, if you're part of the housing crisis, you're probably not going to get elected president.
Trailing in the polls, Ron Paul and Rick Santorum have already moved their campaigns to states further down the road.
This is going to be a long process. This race isn't going to be over anytime soon.
Romney may win the battle in Florida, but the war is far from over.
And next up for these Republican candidates is Nevada. The caucus there will be held this Saturday, and Ron Paul says he's confident in his voters there.
A deported man from Lehigh may be returning home after waiting in Mexico for the past 3 years. Jesus Contreras Bocanegra lived as a legal law-abiding immigrant for over 20 years until officials found out about a minor drug conviction from the 90s. The old conviction, to which he already pled guilty, still authorized him for deportation.
76 students received acceptance letters to Vassar College in New York, only to find out later that they were actually rejected. School officials say that a special website for early decision applicants went live with mistaken information. More than 100 students logged on and saw they were accepted, but most of them weren't. Mothers of the students say this is callous and unbelievable.
Huge disappointment.
Sad for them.
Still to come on 11 News at noon.
Court cameras. Utah courts don't allow many cameras in courtrooms, but that could soon change. Find out how.
And mall competition. With the grand opening of City Creek Center around the corner, what does that mean for malls in Salt Lake and Utah County? We'll be right back. A recent poll shows that 2/3 of Americans can't name a single justice in the Supreme Court. But can having a camera in the courtroom help solve this issue? 11 News reporter Corey Alda shows us how small changes can lead to big differences.
In Utah, only a single media photographer is allowed inside criminal trial courtrooms. Professor Ronell Jones of the BYU Law School led a panel of prominent journalists and professors to discuss ways to educate the public on the Supreme Court.
Being able to have political scientists and communication scholars and journalists and legal scholars all together in one room really enhanced the dialogue.
The recent buzz in public interest in having a camera present within the Supreme Court has caused a contrast of opinions. The issue has once again snapped to life, and actions are ongoing to help make the courtroom a more accessible place for the public. The panel discussed how cameras in the courtroom will help add validity and vividness to what goes on in the court. They mentioned how this will lead to more interest and help alleviate misconception from the public.
One big goal of any conference of this size is to start a conversation. And so our hope is that there will be a great conversation amongst the political scientists and a great conversation amongst the journalists and a great conversations among the law scholars in ways that will continue to have outreaching effect.
Erwin Chemerinsky, founding dean at the University of California Irvine School of Law, gave the keynote address at the symposium. He believes that the absence of cameras in the courtroom is an absence of communication by the court. Corey Aldis, 11 News.
Utah is one of the 14 states where cameras in trial courtrooms are either not allowed or not used. Accepting cameras at the state level will help lead to the Supreme Court to make change in their courtrooms.
Being skinny can actually make your paycheck fatter, at least according to researchers at George Washington University. They found that on average, people who weigh less are paid more than their overweight coworkers. The wage gap is larger for women, with the extra pounds leading to a difference of more than $8,000. The new downtown Salt Lake City Creek Center is getting ready for opening day. How will another mall affect local shoppers? 11 News reporter Cara Teo explored the new shopping center to find out.
With fountains that shoot water and fire, a 30,000-foot retractable glass roof, and stores that have never come to Utah before, City Creek Center is bound to impress. Named for its recreation of City Creek, lots of shoppers are excited for the new downtown shopping center.
Oh, I think it looks very exciting, and it's definitely going to be an addition to this community and to Salt Lake City as a whole. It's beautiful.
But how will this new shopping sensation affect other local malls? Salt Lake realtors say in the long run, City Creek will bolster overall retail sales in downtown, including the Gateway Mall just 4 blocks away.
I think it's going to be a boon for everyone. We know that City Creek Center will be a magnet, and when you attract people to that magnet, there are opportunities for everybody.
City Creek may change Utah Valley shopping as well. Nordstrom, one of 2 anchors at University Mall, has announced it will be leaving at the end of their 10-year contract, which just happens to coincide with the City Creek opening, where Nordstrom will open a new store.
I'm excited Coach will be there and Tiffany's & Co. But I'm not excited that Nordstrom's leaving Orem.
University Mall manager Rob Collis says they feel confident that the mall will be just as successful, and some customers agree.
So if anything is going to affect University Mall, it would be Nordstrom's leaving, but I don't think that City Creek will affect it too much because it's a different kind of customer.
Collis says they are actively marketing to replace Nordstrom, but are not prepared to comment at this time. The new shopping center will be ready for its grand opening in just 50 days on March 22nd. City Creek will sponsor a charity gala the night before with food, entertainment, and of course shopping. You can buy tickets online with all proceeds going to one of 4 local charities.
A Mexican ambassador is free after a kidnapping. Protesters in Egypt storm the Syrian embassy, and water skiers try to break a world record in Australia. Here's your look at news from around the world. Mexico's ambassador to Venezuela and his wife are safe after unidentified abductors kidnapped them. Officials say the kidnappers took Ambassador Carlos Pujalte and his wife late Sunday evening, and they returned without any injuries or harm. Police have not released information as to why they were kidnapped, but will continue to investigate the situation. Protesters in Egypt stormed the Syrian embassy because of anger with the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Reporter Ian Lee shows us what the embassy is doing to recover from the damage.
Security footage shows anti-Assad activists breaking through the front door and ransacking the Syrian embassy. Roughly 100 people had gathered outside the mission in Cairo. About a dozen were involved in the break-in, says an eyewitness. One video shows a man looting the contents of an embassy van. And where were Egyptian security forces who are meant to protect the embassy? Present but ineffective, says a Syrian official.
This is the police. This is one of them. He's standing on the door and then that's it.
This footage appears to show a police officer at the entrance to the embassy as protesters run past. The Syrian ambassador Youssef Ahmed arrived to survey the aftermath. He says he had warned Egyptian officials about the risk, but to no avail.
No one has ever been arrested and no measures have been taken to protect the embassy. Therefore, I have the Egyptian government fully responsible for what happened.
Egyptian officials played down the incident, saying it wasn't a large breach. Damage was minor during the 20-minute raid, but Syrian officials are furious and demanding the intruders be charged.
Syria's ambassador says Egypt's government knew of all the potential protesters, and he is demanding compensation for damages because he says Egypt's government failed to take action. 145 water skiers set out to break a world record. The event took place just off the coast of Tasmania near Australia. It started with 154 skiers, but 9 of them fell down while attempting to stay up for the full nautical mile. The catamaran used 5 miles of rope in order to pull all of the skiers. The Guinness Book of Records will need to confirm the event in order to officially set it as a world record. And that's your look at news from around the world. Anna?
Thanks, Angela. When 11 News at noon returns. Locked up. What clothing item do these kids have to keep in their lockers during school? Turbo 2 just can't get enough of this. We just can't get enough of this replay. We'll show you the crazy slam dunk action from last night's Clippers game.
And we've seen it all. Some snow, a little rain, and even some sun. But what weather is here to stay? I'll have your 11 News weather when we return.
So Kika, I've been loving this weather with barely any snow.
Yeah, me too. Are we going to get any more snow though?
I know, it's been nice. Yes,
yeah.
We will get some more snow. If you take a look outside right now, there's no snow on the ground. There is a bit of snow up on the mountains, but none here in the valley. We can be expecting some more later on in the week. I'll tell you about that. Currently outside, it's 28 degrees. Not too warm. Also, our humidity is at 86%, so it's quite high. But our wind speed is calm, so still a little warmer than what it could be. What we can expect tonight is a few degrees in temperature drop. Not too much though. We're coming in at a 23 degrees tonight. It'll be mostly cloudy. We'll get more clouds in the sky. And also our sunset will come in at 5:44 p.m. Taking a larger look of what's happening across the state and surrounding Utah, we have this big storm system working here, and I know it looks scary. It's building up. As it reaches this coastline here, it'll start to die down. And as it pulls more eastward, when it reaches Utah, it won't be too much to worry about. So no worries, not any huge winter storms to worry about. Taking a closer look at Utah with our highs, we start out in mid to high 30s up in Logan. and we work our way up to the 40s in Salt Lake, Provo, Vernal in 42. And as we work our way down to southern Utah, we come in at Cedar City 48 and St. George at 58. Closer look at St. George for the 5-day forecast. We start out warm, 56, build up a little bit. We get some rain on Thursday, and Friday and Saturday, of course, is nice and warm with 48 and 51. Moving up to northern Utah with our 5-day forecast. We do have some clouds today, but nothing too big. We can expect some rain. Thursday, we will get some snow, and Friday, it'll be cleared up. Friday night will be nice and clear. Of course, with that Saturday, we'll welcome in the nice 39 and, of course, the full sunshine.
Good for me. I'm okay with this light winter.
I'm okay with that, too.
Thanks, Kika.
You're welcome.
Kika. So we had a loss for our Cougar basketball team this past weekend, but a win for the Jazz last night.
Yeah, Bridget, I didn't get to see the game. Do you have the highlights?
For sure, Angela. Next on sports, the Portland Trail Blazers invaded Energy Solutions Arena, but the welcome wasn't warm from their division rival hosts. And it's Lob City once again with poster material courtesy of Blake Griffin. Sports is next. Stay tuned. The Jazz hosted Northwestern Division rivals, the Portland Trail Blazers, at Energy Solutions Arena last night. And despite the Blazers having only 3 road wins this season, it wasn't looking good for the Jazz for most of the game. Blazers forward LaMarcus Aldridge scored 14 of his team's 18 points in the third quarter and helped build his team's lead to 11. But after a few scoring runs by the Jazz and this putback dunk by Jazz forward Jeremy Evans, the Jazz got within 2 in the fourth. Jazz guard Gordon Hayward was cold early, missing his first 8 shots of the game, but he ended up with 12 points and sealed the Jazz victory, making both his free throws with 2 seconds left. And even though last night's win was huge for the Jazz, most would say Mr. Griffin had the highlight of the night, maybe even the week. The Oklahoma City Thunder were in LA, and if being down by 19 wasn't bad enough, Clippers guard Chris Paul threaded the needle for this huge dunk over Thunder center Kendrick Perkins. I could watch this all day. Blake Griffin is literally flying over Perkins, who is not short. He's listed at 6'10". It's incredible. 5 double-doubles later, and BYU women's basketball senior Kristen Riley is finally getting noticed. She was recognized as the WCC Women's Basketball Player of the Week. Riley averaged over 16 points and 10 rebounds in last week's games against Seattle and Santa Clara. The Cougar forward set season and career records, scoring 12 of her 17 points against Santa Clara from 3-point range. And Riley's team moved up to number 22 in the AP rankings this week. The women's basketball team will play Pepperdine in Malibu on Thursday, but they'll be back in the Marriott Center to face St. Mary's this Saturday. And the BYU basketball team has found some help in the backcourt. Coach Rose received a verbal commitment from 6'2" guard Raul Delgado. The Springville native is currently a sophomore at Western Nebraska Community College. This season, Delgado is averaging more than 19 points per game for Western Nebraska, which is ranked number 19 in this week's junior college national poll. He will officially sign with BYU come April, when the signing period for college basketball starts. And Theodore King says Provo is where he wants to be come next football season. The 6'3" defensive end prospect verbally committed this weekend to play football for the Cougars. King was offered a scholarship during his campus visit earlier this month, and even though the San Jose native isn't a member of the LDS Church, he says his strong Christian values made him feel right at home at BYU. King will officially sign with the Cougars tomorrow. And King won't be the only one signing with the Cougars. Tomorrow is National Letter of Intent Day in college football, and the Cougars will officially introduce their newest recruits. You can catch the press conference online at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. Visit our website, 11news.byu.edu, for a link to the action.
Pretty good news for the Cougars. I'm excited to see who they take in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, can't wait to see our future Cougars pretty soon.
Exactly.
Thanks, Bridget. Still to come on 11 News at noon. Boots banned. A Pennsylvania middle school put a ban on shearing boots, but why? We'll be right back. A middle school in Pennsylvania is giving fur-lined boots the boot. Cell phones are not allowed during class, and school officials say students are using their boots to smuggle cell phones in. Students can wear their boots to school, but will need to leave them in their lockers during class. The ban is not going over so well with some students, I can imagine, and parents, so the district may remove the ban if the problem stomps away.
You know what? I don't even have those fur-lined boots, but I do have leather boots. And that's where I keep my phone too.
Not just middle schoolers.
My problem is I forget, so I'll stick it somewhere and I'll forget, and then I lose
That's sad. What if boots are your style and you wear them every day, and all of a sudden you have to take
get cold in class?
Freezing.
I know.
I don't know.
That's your 11 News at noon for Tuesday, January 31st.
You can join us anytime on our website, 11news.byu.edu.
Thanks for watching and have a great afternoon.